To be honest, I can read an article and see if it's got any kind of soul to it or not, any kind of human touch to it. I feel like after doing this for so many years, I've got a pretty good feel for that. And I think what you said a minute ago is so important. It would have taken you 10 hours to do it otherwise. And I think that's where we've got to start looking at how AI can help us in terms of content generation. It's lowering that from 10 hours to 1 hour or whatever the time difference might be, and really realizing that if we start with our own ideas and know how to use AI to help us get those to fruition, I think that's the biggest use of AI whenever it comes to journalism, whenever it comes to content creation today, is start with your authentic self, but then absolutely let the computer, let AI help you and move forward.
AI isn't just changing dentistry, it's completely redefining it. Tune into Bite Sized Podcast, the dental AI and tech podcast, and stay ahead of the curve.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Bite Size Podcast. And I've got a copywriting OG. Right? It's true.
Honestly, the hair proves it, man. Trust me.
Or lack of, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, I got Kevin Henry, and you've been in the industry for almost as long as I've been alive.
Dude, I'm telling you, longer than my daughter's been alive. That's the scary part. So, no, good to be on, Adrian. Good to see you, man.
Yeah. I reached out to Kevin because I've followed him for years and never had the chance to really intimately work with you at a company, but I've read a lot of your stuff.
Appreciate it.
See who you work with, and have been to one of your seminars, which was years ago. I don't think you remember, but I sat in on you talking about how to write and create a voice and a brand, and was super impressed. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Anyway, so I brought Kevin on because of his history in the industry, and I know he's an OG. So for those of you who don't know you, who've had their head in this dirt for 20 years, tell us a little bit about who you are really quick, and where you're at, where you came from, what you're doing, that kind of stuff.
All that good stuff. No, back in, as my daughter loves to say, last century, 1999, I was hired as the managing editor for Dental Economics magazine. Knew nothing about dentistry, but I needed a job at the time and was thankful they took a chance on a journalist to come in and help balance out. They had a dentist as the editor, Dr. Joe Blaze. They brought me in as the editor, the journalist side of things. And I have not left dentistry or publishing since then. I've been the editor-in-chief at now drbycuspid.com. And before that, I was the editor-in-chief for Dental Products Report back when it was in existence.
Is that gone? I didn't know it was gone.
It's gone.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is.
What happened?
This is part of the changing journalism landscape, honestly. It was just one of those things that they shuttered it. And it makes me sad because I think DPR really had a good place in this industry. And I also look back, and I've still got every issue, honest to God, of the magazines over here in my closet.
Yeah.
And we were doing 200, 250 page issues every month. And at the end, it was 40, 44 pages.
They never moved to a full digital model?
Never did. When I was there, we launched their DPR network. It's called Modern Dental Network. It's their online version of what they did. And it's just shuttered, unfortunately. It really is.
Somebody listening to this who wants to go to them and buy the brand and move it to digital, there's an opportunity out there.
Absolutely. I know there are product shoppers out there. I know there's others, but yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for DPR, even though I'm still at Dr. Bicuspid now.
Yeah. Tell us about Dr. Bicuspid really quick.
Yeah. So we come out 6 days a week, 9:30 Mountain Time. I live in Colorado, so 9:30 Mountain Time every morning. We send out an article-filled newsletter, I should say, to about 22,000 subscribers. And I would love to have people subscribe to that. But I've got a great team of 3 editors who work under me, and they work night and day to put together some good content, including every day we have our Dentist Gone Bad series where we talk about some kind of crime that's happened in a dental practice or outside.
Dentist Gone Bad. That's a Kevin Henry brand right there.
It works, man. It does. So, but I've got a great team and very blessed.
So we'll put in the show notes, we'll put a link to subscribe to Dr. Bicuspid. I subscribe. I read some of your stuff, not everything, because I got a billion emails every morning, but I do read some.
Yep.
So you take submissions. Yes,
we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when somebody submits content to you, and now let's get into the AI stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
In our prep call, we were talking about there are quality controls that you need when somebody submits something. Can you tell us a little bit about as an editor-in-chief, what you're looking for, and then maybe lean into, I'm getting a lot of AI fodder,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me what we're looking for.
First and foremost, I love to have relationships with my authors. If somebody sends me in something blind out of the blue, it's a little bit of a red flag because I always like to know who this person is before
Yeah.
I trust them enough to bring them to my readers. So building that relationship with my authors is such a key part of the journalist experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And building that relationship also helps you whenever the question of how do I use AI comes into play, because I have several authors who use Claude or Chat or whatever it might be, Gemini even, to
Yeah.
help polish up their articles before they send them to me.
Okay.
And so that's become much more of a conversation over the last year or two than it was my previous 23 in the business. And it's been a lot of bridges that we're having to cross and cross very slowly as we try to figure this out.
What are you looking for in terms of quality?
Quality, my editors and I always believe that we're there to polish things up as far as grammar goes, as far as punctuation goes. I just want what that person is an expert in to come through in the article.
Got it.
Because that's the only reason that they should be writing an article, is that they've got something to share with my readers and it's going to be worth my readers' time.
Yeah.
So as long as you cross those two things off and it's not an infomercial for a product,
Right.
a company, or a person, I'm down. Absolutely.
You're good. All right. So you're getting a lot of AI fodder sent
Yeah.
in?
Starting to. I've had a couple of articles lately that I have rejected just because, Adrian, you can see it. I can see it whenever something has just been generated by throwing in a chat, write me a 500-word article on why we need to sell dental implants to patients.
Yeah. And it's just slop.
It is.
Basically.
And
It sounds good.
yeah,
It sounds okay, but there's no voice in it. You know what I mean?
And if you're a consultant or you're an author that wants to lend your expertise to my audience, why would you not take the time to do that instead of just putting a prompt into AI and letting it run with the ball? And when I've rejected the 2 articles, I've come back and said, look, I can tell this isn't you. I can tell that this is AI, pure and pure. And so when you have something that's generated by you, send it back to me. And to be honest, neither one of those authors have yet, which is a little bit of a red flag in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just too easy to put a quick prompt in and have 10,000 articles by tomorrow.
We could all do it, but I just think that it's a sign of the times that's even an option. And now we're starting to see people take advantage of that option.
So when you're looking at these submissions
Mhm.
and you get a submission and you read through it and you're like, this is definitely just AI, a quick prompt and an AI output. Are you just recognizing that by the writing style, or are you actually using, there's some tools out there like originality AI and some other stuff like that that can identify AI?
We're doing a mixture of both. To be honest, I can read an article and see if it's got any kind of soul to it or not, any kind of human touch to it. I feel like after doing this for so many years, I've got a pretty good feel for that. But you're right. There are those AI programs that are out there. We're absolutely using those to make sure that, again, we're not being duped, because I know AI is going to advance in terms of writing, in terms of telling stories. And I want to make sure that I'm not being fooled, so my readers aren't being fooled.
What's happening with all of this AI capability and content creation and predictive AI capabilities is content is just so easy to create now that I imagine, and it's already happening, that there's just so much stuff that it becomes like background noise.
Yeah.
And so my question is, and this is not just copywriting, this is like imagery, video,
For sure.
everything. And we're going to get inundated over the next few years with just tons of automation programs that you can put together that will just spit out as much copy or imagery that you want. So I interviewed Sean Zayas, my first episode, and he's a sharp dude. And
Absolutely.
he said that he's coined a phrase called authentic brilliance, and we talked briefly about this, which is how do you create something of quality? And his claim is that we have to figure out how to be authentic. And so my question to you though is this, is leveraging, like I use AI in all of my writing. We'll talk through how I do it and maybe how you do it, because it doesn't make sense not to, but how do you use AI and retain some authenticity? to create the voice and whatnot, how do you suggest people do that?
I think there's really two big ways. Number one is that you spit out the information. And I think you and I may have talked a little bit about this, but I know people are now talking into their phone and having AI put it together for them and
Right.
into some kind of article format. I love that because it's still you that's talking. It's still your ideas. So if you're using AI to help you construct a better article, I think that's fantastic. As long as your thoughts, your soul is the foundation of that. So I think that's absolutely one way to do it. And I think the other way is if you've got writer's block, if you've got something that you need to know just how to start, let AI prompt you with 3 big topics that are happening right now, or what would readers want to hear about this? I always use it almost as a sounding board whenever I write. Is if I get stuck on something, I'm like, what's hot right now? What's trending right now? What's something that maybe isn't being talked about right now that should be? And usually those prompts back to me, they go, oh, okay. And then
Got
I
it.
start down
Yeah.
the path. Yeah.
That capability, understanding how to use AI, not just to produce a piece of content, but how to generate ideas and using it as a companion when you get stuck the way you're describing
Yeah.
is incredibly powerful. And people don't use it like that. They don't know. I am always writing something. I would say something like, I don't know where I'm stuck on this, but I want to talk about this idea, but I don't know the words around it. And it just gives it to me.
Yeah.
So it helps to narrow focus and point you in the right direction if you are constantly prompting. So it's not just one prompt, write me an article about blah, 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 spit it out. It's, you mentioned talking into your phone, right? I don't even type anymore when I write. I just go into my prompt. I use Claude. That's my preferred copywriting tool because I think Claude it's got a better grammatical control. And I just word vomit. And my prompt is 2,000 words long. And then I say at the end, I need to take this idea and I need you to craft it and structure it into a blog format or whatever it might be. But I want you to include these things. I want you to include some quotes, and I want you to include some bullet pointed lists that you can pull out of what I've just done. And what I get is totally authentic. It seems like it is. Some of the language is probably a little bit AI-ish, but it's my idea.
Yep.
Right?
Bingo.
To write that in the beginning and then have to go back and edit would take me 10 hours longer to do it. So this idea of just talking and then from your audio file or whatever it is, you create something is a great idea. That's how I'm doing it.
And I think what you said a minute ago is so important. It would have taken you 10 hours to do it otherwise. And I think that's where we've got to start looking at how AI can help us in terms of content generation. It's lowering that from 10 hours to 1 hour or whatever the time difference might be. And really realizing that if we start with our own ideas and know how to use AI to help us get those to fruition, I think that's the biggest use of AI whenever it comes to journalism, whenever it comes to content creation today is start with your authentic self, but then absolutely let the computer, let AI help you and move forward.
Yeah. Do you prefer Claude? I'm curious about what models you're using.
Yeah, I am. I'm a big Claude guy. I do chat. I've been playing a lot with it.
Have you played with ChatGPT-5 since it launched last week?
Yeah, which is awesome. And I really think one thing that I use a lot, and I'll just talk about this for a minute. I use Otter on my phone. I love interviews. Yeah. And then I will send that interview directly to my computer and have the computer clean up grammar, whatever it might be. And then I've got those quotes right there that I plug into articles.
So give me an example of how you're using that. Have you interviewed somebody recently? And
absolutely. I'll give you a perfect example. So Adrian, one thing I do outside of dentistry is I'm a baseball writer. Okay. And
by the way, I have about, I don't know, $30,000 in baseball cards right around here.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Trust me.
Have we talked about freaking baseball cards?
You need to.
Another conversation. Holy cow. All right. Anyway,
but I'm the beat writer for the Colorado Rockies for the Denver Gazette. And I'm always in the clubhouse talking to players, and it's literally me and my phone talking to them.
Yeah.
And it's transcribing it as they go. And I know once I leave the clubhouse, I've got to get up to the press box, send in my story before the game starts. It saves me an inordinate amount of time because while I'm walking from the clubhouse to the press box, it's working behind the scenes to clean up the grammar of the player, clean up the quotes. So it's just ready for me to plug in, and it's literally a airdrop from my phone to my computer, and then I use it.
All right. Yeah. So the original content is a conversation, and then you're taking the conversation, you're leveraging AI to structure it,
Absolutely.
because the actual structuring and summarizing and condensing, that's tough. That's tough to do.
It
It
is.
takes a long time.
What you said earlier, though, is when you know how to use it the right way, and again, it's a trial and error. You don't just wake up one day and know how to use this. But once you find a system that works for you and you're able to use it time and time again and even hone it from that, I think it's
Yeah.
such an important thing.
Yeah. Going back to your editors, people submitting content
Yeah.
to you, are you instructing them in this way? Have you had if people are like a writer's block or they're stuck? Or
Yeah. So I love to do workshops with people to help them be better writers. And we can go into that later. But one of the things I love to do during the workshops is help them just understand the tools that are available to them. And like we talked about earlier, with the prompts that can get you past writer's block.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, that so many people are worried about their writing because A, they don't know how to start, or
Yeah.
B, they're worried their grammar, their punctuation, everything will make them
Yeah.
look like a fool. And AI gets you past both of
all
those.
of that stuff.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah. So I'm going to use this model.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to take the transcript of this podcast
Mhm.
and I'm going to write an article.
Yep.
And I'm going to send it to you
Awesome.
about this podcast.
I can't wait to see it. Seriously.
So same idea, right?
Right.
Audio, transcript. What do we talk about? Put it together, package it up.
But here's the thing that I love is that it's me and you talking. That's the genesis for this whole
Right.
thing. It's not made up. It's not out of the blue. It's actually our thoughts that then AI is making sound better and can be better understood by the reader. That's what I'm all about.
I want to talk about your workshop really in just a second.
Yeah.
But so with my social practice, the digital marketing company that I'm with, we do a ton of copywriting, like hundreds of articles every month. And these are blog articles and service pages for websites. It's basically copywriting for the website, or SEO copy. Okay.
Yep.
And I was using Originality AI. Okay, this is an interesting story. Okay. So that's the only one that I know of that's an AI kind of like tool to identify AI copywriting, right?
It's kind of a 300-pound gorilla.
Yeah. Is it a leader in the industry? Okay. So I started taking the copy from my copywriters, and this is like a couple years ago, and running it through, I think I ran it through Grammarly. They had one, and then I ran it through originality.ai. And this is stuff that's handwritten. Okay.
Okay.
We're not using AI at this point. I'm running it through these programs, and they're coming back saying 100% of it is AI.
Oh, wow.
And here's the reason why. How many times can you write a blog article about dental implants for a dentist and make it original? You can't, right? After you've written that article 500 times, it's the same thing over and over. So my copywriter's like, oh, gotta write another article about dental implants. They just spin it off of memory, right? And it's done.
Yep.
So it sounds the same. So there's probably something inside of the algorithm, these AI identifier softwares are using, where they're like, oh, that's the same article over and over again, even if you're writing it from hand.
It gets to know your voice, your tenses, your stories, even. Absolutely. It starts to recognize those things.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we started leveraging AI in the copywriting process, and we implemented some of the things that you've talked about, where we have interviews with doctors. Because if you get this transcript from an interview talking about a story, or you get a quote, all of a sudden your copy just is much better. It's much more interesting. I don't know if anybody ever reads dental website copy, but Google does, and the AI models do. And if you've got some originality in there, and quotes and some authority and authenticity, they rank better. They just do. Google can recognize it, and you just rank better because it's not just, slop. Anyway, the way we started using it is, and then there's a lot of steps to this, but towards the end of this model, we would take the final output and we would run it back through Claude, and we'd say, we need you to rewrite this so it sounds like an AI wasn't involved.
Hmm.
And I ran several articles through Originality AI prior. Now, this is like the original article is like almost no AI. It's just there's a little bit of AI in taking a transcript and whatnot and running it through. And it says it has a really high AI score. So we ran it through Claude again, and we said, rewrite this so that it doesn't sound like there's any AI involved. And we got the output and we ran it back through and the score dropped, meaning I'm using AI to basically say, don't make this sound like AI.
Now that's an interesting twist right there, man. It is.
I don't know if this stuff's going to work. Who knows? It's like this stuff changes so fast that who knows? But anyway, I thought that was a funny story because I'm like,
well, and to be honest, you get to that point, it's who else is going to know except you and the AI?
Nobody's
how you did it. Yeah,
nobody's going to know.
That's very interesting.
So riffing off of your idea that you're talking into your phone when you do when you write for the Rockies.
Yep.
When it comes to like search engine optimization, which is really what copywriting is all about, it's SEO, and maybe you can do email marketing with some of this stuff. But for a dental practice, writing copy is really about providing good content that Google ranks, that the AI engines will research, and you'll show up in citations and whatnot. The hardest thing about this is just trying to get some information from the doctor.
Yeah.
Because if the doctor isn't involved, or the office manager or the marketing manager, somebody on the team isn't involved, it is just like trying to like take something, a generic subject like implants, and trying to make it interesting. So the hardest part of this is getting something original. And so in order to do that, up until now, we would say, look, schedule a time with the doctor, do an interview.
There you go.
And right. But trying to get that damn appointment scheduled to do the interview, like 80% of the people, we can't even get the damn time.
No, I agreed.
So the idea that you just come up with is talking to your phone. Mm-hmm. If you used Otter or I use Read AI or any one of those audio recording summarizing tools, a doctor could be driving home, stuck in traffic, and rather than listening to music, could just tell a story.
Bingo.
Literally, just tell a story from the day. I had a patient come in, don't mention their name, whatever. This is what they were dealing with. This is who they are. This is how I know them, blah, blah, blah. Here's their history, whatever it might be. And this is what we dealt with. And this is how we solved the problem. And at the end of this meeting, the patient said to me, blah, blah, blah. Notes from the doctor thinking, this makes me feel great to be able to solve a health issue with one of my patients, blah, blah, blah. You take that recording and you've got one of the best blog posts you could ever write.
Bingo.
It's so easy. It's so easy. That's not, you got to do some SEO optimization. You got to make sure it's formatted correctly and stuff. But that story, if a doctor just did that 2 or 3 or 4 times a month, they would be light years ahead in search from anybody.
Could not agree more. And one of the ways that I try to explain that to my authors, because that's how I tell them, I said, talking to your phone on the way home, when you're stuck in traffic, when you have 5 minutes, whatever it is. And I liken it to how we used to, whenever we sat down with TV, there was a certain time that a certain show came on and we had to be there to watch it or else. Now everything's on demand. We can watch whatever, whenever. Same thing with interviews. They have changed from I'll call you at 3:00 on this day to you give me the information whenever it feels best for you, as long as it's by this date, and we'll make it work.
Yeah. It's just so simple now. It sounds complicated. It's just so simple.
Once you get in the rhythm, and I think just having people do it the first time and then realize how simple it is, and then it clicks in.
I was meeting with my business partner and COO at our company, and I thought, if I were to rebuild my social practice, this is how it would look. We provide marketing solutions, everything, social media, ads, reviews, SEO, website design, everything. I would do a 2-hour video interview with the doctor, and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
You take that, you generate all the content for the site, all the blog articles. You can create automation to respond to reviews in the voice of the doctor. That, like, everything can be generated from an authentic interview. You can even take the video clips and drop those out on the side or whatever
Absolutely.
it might be. Like just that. There's no like magic to it. It's no hidden bot. Oh, SEO is the super tricky kind of thing. No, it's just give me the freaking interview.
Yeah.
And we're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's just like this Riverside that we're recording on. Whenever I do my podcast, there's the show notes, there's the social clips, everything.
Yeah.
It's done for you.
You just gotta have the conversation.
Absolutely.
You gotta record the conversation, and really, that's it. That's it. With all these AI tools coming out, let me just shift gears here for a sec.
Yeah, man.
What do you think are some of the biggest opportunities that are, in terms of content creators, what are the biggest opportunities moving forward? And this could be copyright or anything else you could think of.
Yeah, I think obviously, we're going to get to the point where you're going to have book outlines that can be done very easily. I think that we're going to get to the point where, some of the video creation that I'm seeing, we're getting to the point where it didn't used to look so real, and it's getting to that point very quickly.
Yeah.
So I think being able to tell your story with video is getting to be one of the biggest things that, with the rise of YouTube, with everything else that goes on. And I know how videos, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, those catch the attention of the scrollers.
Yeah,
the doom
absolutely.
scrollers. Yeah, man.
They're always pushed to the top of the,
absolutely
put to the top of the feeds for sure.
Well, I think video creation is one of the biggest. What about you?
One of the things that I'm doing that I think is fun and interesting, and I mentioned this to you in our prep call. I don't know if you tried it out, but so like I said, I use Claude when I do writing. So if I'm writing stuff about marketing or whatever, I went into Claude. Inside of all the AI tools, you can create projects.
Mm-hmm.
And a project it's not just a chat. You're not just going to a chat. You're creating kind of an isolated project, and you can assign it files. So if you wanted to create a project about the Colorado Rockies, you could go into this and you could dump in history files, all this kind of stuff. And then when you would go to write, you can come into that project and it's sourcing all the files that you've dumped in. It orients you. So one of the things orients the copy, and then you can write stuff and it has some context with it. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I did is I went into Claude and I created a project. And this is not my idea. This is Sean Zayas's idea. And actually, I'm going to do an interview with him, podcast with him to talk about how to do this.
Nice.
Right? But basically, you do a personality test. So you use the DISC model or one of those other things. So you do a personality test. So you get a personality test of yourself. Then you use that as a file and you assign it to the project. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then what you can do is you can take your own personal journal entries or whatever content you've written that's really authentic to you. It could be videos of you speaking. It could be stuff you've written in the past, whatever it might. But you dump all these files in and you have it create a style guide, a writing style guide that's your style guide. How do you use metaphors? Do you use symbolism? Are you ironic? And it gets a style guide, and you create that style guide and you assign it to the project. So now when you go to the project and I do my like word vomit. I want to write about blah, 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 right? I go and use my personality test and my style guide to help reframe this content so that it's me, right? So you got my authentic words, me just blabbing, but then you've got these style guides, which have a level of authenticity to it. Those are also an educational level. I probably don't write at a very high educational level. I probably write at a high school level. That's because I'm dumb. But I like to use irony and stuff like that. And so it can, I didn't mean to be disparaging to myself. I'm not dumb, but everybody thinks they're worse than what they really are. And it gets something super close to a final output. So I don't know if you've tried this with your editors, but I would think that this would be a great way, and you could use this in your writing courses if you haven't implemented something like this, your workshops.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a great way to streamline the process even a little bit further, right? That final edit that you do is closer to what you're going to get, right?
Yeah. I'd actually like to learn more from you and Sean about this, because when you told me that the other day, it was really fascinating. I've played a lot with Google Notebook. I don't know if you've done that.
I have too.
Yeah. So I've tried doing some projects with that, and I've actually spit out AI podcasts.
Because it gives you that podcast thing at the end.
And man, I'm telling you, it's something I actually launched one of my Dental Assistant Nation podcasts just as a test run. And I went through numerous iterations of it. But I finally got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to test out an AI podcast and see what my audience thinks about it. It ranked just as well as anything that I did. But
Really?
again, it was all my stuff that I
originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was fascinating to see. But no, actually, I love that idea about style guides and how that we could maybe implement that. I love
You know what we should do? I'll bring Sean on with you.
Yeah.
And then we can like dig on him a little bit as he shows us how he does this. It's actually, I've tried it. It's actually pretty simple to build. It's just like, what are the files you're assigning to the project and what's in those? And how do you make sure that you get something that's really clear about who you are?
That's the key.
If you've got that, then let's say it's a doctor, right? Or an editor. You go into your project, you do your word vomit, right? Oh, I had a patient come in today if you're a dentist, and this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Write me a blog post about this and assign the files. Remember to use the files in this project. And it just spits it out. Like you could give it a file that says, here's the format for how I like to write my blog articles.
That's cool.
This is a structure, and it could add imagery. You could put imagery in there, whatever. It could do all that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to play in that reindeer game. Honestly, that would be fantastic.
All right, I'll invite you on. So tell us about your workshop. I'm curious.
Yeah. So one thing that I love to do is I love to spend about 45 minutes with people, just trying to get them past the word block and how to understand how to even start the writing process.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways that I do is for us to always remember that we as human beings are coded to be drawn to numbers and listicles. 3 things, 5 ways, 7, whatever it might be. We're also coded to love odd numbers more than even. So I always start with my authors and work with them on, let's talk about 3 things that you know about with this project, with this thought leadership that you may have. And then how do we share that? So we start from there. We use something called the skeleton method to really dig down. And by the end of it, we've got a 500-600 word article, not AI generated at all, but them generated that then we can put through and make better through a Grammarly or whatever it might be.
So how long do these courses usually last? Are these one-day courses?
They're 1 day. And honestly, I've got a 45-minute thing that I go through, and then I have follow-ups with people after that to make sure that they're really on track, because we know that there's always the church camp experience where you think, oh, I've got this, it's awesome. And then if there's no follow-up, it just falls off.
Is that where I get the Holy Ghost and then I go home and I forget about it?
Exactly. Right. See, I'm going to change the world and you get back my money. So it's the same crap.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we having for dinner? Okay.
Exactly. So that's the key to the follow-ups right there. But yeah, it's all about understanding that, like you were joking earlier, we tell ourselves, nobody wants to read my stuff. I can't write. My English is no good. We got to get past all that to being able to be those thought leaders that we know we are.
Is the format online? Are you doing this individual one-on-one?
I'm doing it. So I'm doing it online where you watch the course first and then you schedule a follow-up with me. I throw that in their court. They schedule the follow-up. We have a 30-minute one-on-one, just like you and I are having right now. And it's a temperature check. Where are you? How you feeling? And what can I do?
Who's your typical student?
There's a lot of dentists that do this, to be honest with you. There's a lot of dentists who don't want to be in the operatory anymore. They want to be KOLs. They want to be speakers. They want to be authors. They want to be those thought leaders. So a lot of times it's either a dentist or hygienist that are wanting to break out and hopefully show up in a midwinter or something.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So we'll put a link to what's the first step if somebody's interested in
basically
workshop?
So I'll give you the link. They'll click in, they'll sign up. Very inexpensive, I promise you that. The ROI will be almost instantaneous, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, we'll put the schedule link in the show notes.
Awesome.
All right, dude, I'm bringing you back for sure.
I would love that. And we could do something with Sean as well. His brain would be fantastic.
I think walking through the process of setting up this project with a style guide and a person, I think it'll be really fun. So
let's do it.
Stay tuned. All right, Kevin, you're a champ, dude. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, take care, dude.
Thanks for listening to BYTE SIZED Podcast. Tune in to stay up to date with everything dental AI and tech